All right. Welcome, everybody. We're super excited to have you here today with our most amazing design team, 4th and 5th grade. And so we want to jump into it real quickly, and we'll do a little bit of introductions after I give you a little into of what's happening. So we also have our families here on Zoom and also those on YouTube Live. So we're super thankful for that. So let me just share a screen that we're going to be digging into. So we're going to have this empathy wall here. The reason we have that is because we have these culture cards, and it's how we hire, it's how we solve challenges. So we have to define the priority, but most importantly, what's for us is empathize to understand. And the reason for that is when we do that, we can actually navigate through ambiguity. And it's through that ambiguity that we find these needs. And ultimately, when you guys start talking, that's magic. That insight actually will help us design something awesome. And that's what we're looking for, is the prototype greatness. And so we have a space for you to do that. So you'll see that Padlet wall that's going to come up in just a second. And it looks like, I shouldn't have closed that for you, should I have? So it looks like this. It's called Digging into Empathy. And I'm going to put that in the chat box for you. And because not everybody will can raise their hand, and not everybody's question will be answered. But it's that insight we're looking for, is things that have happened. The teachers have looked through all of that empathy data, and they've come up with a couple critical questions that they want to dig into a little bit deeper. So with that, we want to start with just saying hello. We have our 4th and 5th grade learning experience designers here. And I know they're not going to trample on top of each other. They'll just say hello. So go ahead and just introduce yourselves, because they might not know you on the screen. So starting with Katie, and then we'll run from there. Katie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Katie Berry. I'm going to have a 4th grade homeroom this year.
And a new baby. Keep going, guys.
I'm Ann Anderson. I have a 4th grade homeroom this year, too.
I'm Daniel Waldorf.
Oh, go, Daniel.
All right. I'm Daniel Waldorf. I also will be having a 4th grade homeroom this year.
My name is Stacy Lamb, and I'll be having 4-5, kind of a double class this year. We'll tell you more about it later.
My name is Kelly Eveleth, and with Stacy Lamb, I will also have a 4-5 kind of mixture going on this year.
Shoshana Rader, and I am 5th.
Did that get everybody? All right.
Yep.
So we have Cammy, there you are.
I'm here. Cammy Cottrell. I teach 5th. I'm going to be looping, and I'm starting the year on maternity leave.
All right. Awesome.
And Ellen Bartow, looping with 5th, with my 5th grade class.
And I'm Liz Sherman, and I'm the resource specialist that supports 4-5.
What's super exciting to know is that our Welcome Center staff, Connie and Mary and all the team here, along with our teachers, have been looking at that right placement. So they've been working. So by Friday, yep, that's tomorrow evening and into Saturday morning, you'll have your students' roster. So all the kids who are going to be in that classroom, and also who the teacher is. So I can tell you that's 3 weeks before anybody else will be getting them. The reason for that, it's super critical to have those relationships early on. It's not just about starting on September 2nd, it's starting tomorrow. So you can find those little micro teams. What we're asking you too is we're not about switching classes and all that stuff, because it's about creating some type of stability and structure right out the gate. So we don't want to be flipping classes and doing all that, because we wanted to establish homeroom routines and get that going right away. Our LEDs, learning experience designers, will start to share out and have meetings with you, calls and Zoom sessions, but ultimately there'll probably be a share out in a couple of weeks on what is 4-5 going to look like prior to school starting. But in order to do that, we can't design it like most schools are doing, is here's the schedule and good luck, right? And that's what's called being schooled. So we're not going to school you. We're going to have learning first. And in order to design that, we have to hear from you. And there are some critical questions that we discovered that we want to know more about. So to get us started, we have Ann Anderson, and I'm going to put a link in the chat, which is going to give you to the Padlet, because not everybody will have their kind of reflection. So we really want to hear from you. So Ann, could you get us started?
Yeah, so the empathy question on the Padlet wall that we were looking at was around what did you enjoy or what worked well for you with distance learning. And so a lot of those items, are easy. Oh, we can do that again. We can do this again. But we saw kind of a theme around flexibility. So our team is wondering what aspects of flexibility are most meaningful to you. So I don't know, you can describe what that would look like, I guess, or in what areas, schedules or work, so that we can make this work for you.
Okay, So we have that Padlet wall. I put it in the chat box. What aspects of flexibility will be meaningful to you? Because there's that tension, right, between homeschool and the supports you need. So go ahead and kick it off. Either raise your hand in the Zoom room here, or just start chatting.
Hey, Joe, it's Shayna.
Shayna, I knew I could count on you to get it started.
Thanks. So I think for kids, I feel that flexibility is great for some kids, and it works if kids are motivated or if they're in that type of environment. And then there's other kids who aren't very motivated, or it's harder for them to have that sort of flexibility. So I actually like, they don't need to be on Zoom all day, but I like the idea of some sort of structure for them so they know what they're doing or should be doing throughout the day. And then with check-ins with their LED or with friends in their class or whomever, trying to help keep them accountable. Because that's one thing that I think that we try to teach our kids the most in the spring was how to keep themselves accountable. But for some kids, that's easier than others. And so I would just say for the kids who need the flexibility, I think it's great. But for those who need a little bit more structure, to have that as an option also.
Madara's family? Did I say that correctly? Please correct me.
Yes. So my experience, I work from home, and both me and my husband, we work. So I
Sounds like you cut out there for a second. So if someone wants to come in and chime in.
know what is being done every week, every day, so we can support. And then I was also hoping that we get more hours with teachers or in the virtual classroom every week, because 3 hours a week, it really doesn't work for many of the parents who are working.
Yeah, so we had that experience at March 13th where we shut down and we had to turn back on learning. Clearly, we want to make sure that its learning is beyond 3 hours a week. So I know the LEDs, you want to maybe talk about that just for a second?
I think we want you to understand that what we're planning and what we're looking at is very different from distant learning. That what you experienced in distant learning was kind of a time of crisis. So you looked at 3 to 4 hours, maybe you looked at some morning meetings, some office hours, and not a lot of time with teachers. It'll definitely be changing as we move forward. And that's one of the reasons we're here, to gain your empathy, to really understand what you're looking for. So we also hope to spend more time with kids in lots of different structures, whole group, small group. We definitely have that on our minds.
Thanks for clarifying, Stacy. I know there's lots more to share around that space. Someone else want to add thoughts and comments around the question that Anne asked us around what aspects of flexibility will be meaningful to you?
Well, okay. So this is Sherry. I don't know if you can hear me.
Gotcha.
Okay, awesome. So I think maybe this is more of a question for the minorities, but we're two parents working full time. And so we're looking at opportunities with Bridge, which is the after school support. And so I guess my question is, how can we incorporate that flexibility, or will there be communication with that entity to ensure that they're being flexible enough with the curriculum, and I guess equally teachers are being flexible enough with knowing that they may be there as well. I don't know if there's been much thought to ESS or Bridge given this framework.
Yeah, so it's lovely. So you're digging into the idea of the need to access the Bridge, the before and after school program. What might there be in terms of connection within that space, because that's a need. So tell us a little bit more about that need that you have as two working parents.
So I guess for starters, I don't know what the time structure is for virtual learning. So I don't know if it's what we had originally planned with the 2.5, 3 hour day. And if that's the case, I guess that's important. And really just wanting to know how we can pull through. So it's really hard to know what virtual learning is if it's quite different than distant learning. But I will say we had a really positive experience given everything with this particular grade pod, the 4-5. So, I have full confidence. It's just a matter of what do you all need from us as well, because we're sort of going through this blindly.
What I really appreciate is just having this really connective tissue between all of our alternative programs, even enrichment programs that we're looking at with the collaborative, and also that support with Bridge. So that's great. Anyone else have some thoughts around flexibility, parent-wise? What was helpful? What would be helpful?
Joe, I have a question. I know you were saying that, or as Stacey was saying, that distance learning in the fall is going to look different than it did at the end of last year. And I know there's sort of two groups of situations, families with both parents that are working, and then families that have more flexibility to spend time with their kids and are able to interact more. And I'm just wondering if there's flexibility in, so the families that are able to invest more time or don't need their kids to be on a total structure for school, that need them to occupy, 4 or 5 hours of their day, if there's flexibility for those kids to maybe get their stuff done in a quicker amount of time, like if they're able to complete their assignments and all their work for that day in maybe a 2 to 3 hour period and not have to utilize that in that longer period of time if they don't need it.
Okay, so we're just listening at this point, so we don't have answers for you, Carrie. So we're listening and talking about flexibility with kids who have different work ethic or work styles. So great. All right, we're going to move on to the next question. And the next question comes to us from Daniel and Cindy. So I think, Daniel, are you taking this one?
Yeah, Cindy, I don't think could make it tonight. So okay. I'll be taking this one. So Cindy and I worked through some of the comments and questions that you guys had to help come up with this question. So our question is, how might we balance live instruction, one-on-one support combined with collaborative projects and student choice? And we really dug into this because it connected to the flexibility, the question prior, and finding that flexible workspace, I guess, through this virtual learning.
Thank you, Daniel. So who would like to share from a family perspective? How might we balance live instruction and one-on-one support combined with collaborative projects, right? That design experience.
Hi, Joe. Can you hear me?
Fantastic.
Hi, this is Elena Kogan. One of the things that we were looking for is ability for families who are open to do pods at home to have a flexibility once we know who are the kids in the class, and if we feel comfortable having 3-4 kids get together, instead of parents making up an assignments for them, to have LEDs lead some type of collaborative work where the kids can get together in somebody's house if parents are comfortable with that and work on school assignments.
Fantastic. We like this idea of micro teams. What does that look like? And that's why the kind of this urgency of giving you the rosters right away so that we can start to do that too.
So Joe, hi, this is Taz. If I may, on the same train of thought, for the design challenges and the projects that the kids used to do with a group, those pods become really important too, because I've seen my child with design challenges, like how he feeds off energies from different kids and the ideas. It just, the final product and the process is also much more fun and engaging when they're doing it in that format. And if there was a way to, guide those students with they try to gather as much supplies from what's in the house, but sometimes those, the way the supplies are provided from Design 39, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for them. So maybe, having a way to get that to them so that they can then use those materials to create the projects.
Super helpful, Taz.
Hi there.
Welcome.
You hear me? Okay. So one of the things that I know my daughter really was disappointed in and missing out on was the Maker 39. And I was wondering if the LEDs had even considered, like, is there a way that we can transition a project like that into this virtual learning environment so that way the kids don't feel like they're missing out? I mean, like, she got up to 4th grade thinking, oh, wow, I get to do this, you know, that's different. And then now she's just like, well, we didn't even get to complete that project. And now she's hoping she'll be able to do it in 5th grade before her chances are gone with this project.
So part of the empathy process is to dig in just a little bit more. So tell us a little bit, what was it about that Maker Faire experience that resonated for your child?
Maddie, do you want to come over here and tell them? What is it about the Maker 39 that you—
Even better.
She doesn't want to share. Sorry.
All right, but from a mom perspective, what did you notice?
That's all she kept talking about. That's all that she kept talking about. And then she was just telling us how, like, you know, she was really disappointed that she just didn't get to, you know, that she got started on that project, but she didn't get to complete it. And that she was, you know, and she kept bugging us. She's like, am I going to get to go to school? Will we get to work on Maker 39 this year? So those are things that she's actually continuing to look forward to and wants to do. And I'm trying to figure out, well, now that we're virtual learning at least through December that we know of, how is she going to be able to gain that experience and get it?
Awesome. I love it because I see the LEDs nodding their heads, and also that opportunity to have thoughtful, enriching real world experiences, right? So if you know about a little bit about the 4-5 and even like Design 39 as a whole, we have the students promoting like their own promotion designers. They create their own promotion, the field trip experiences. So all these things are around not losing sight of the opportunity to learn in every single aspect. So thank you for sharing that. Taylor Moyer.
So I feel like as employees or employers, we've all had to figure out how to collaborate remotely, like real fast. And so I could see some really cool projects on breaking teams into groups and letting them figure it out, you know, guiding them. But hey, you need to have a Zoom call each week. You need to come up with a to-do list. You need to report to your group. Have you done your piece? Have you not? But like, those are things that we struggle with employees and professionals right now doing that. So that would be an amazing way to have a project that kids could learn incredibly valuable skills. And we're all doing it remotely right now. So maybe having some of your parents who are figuring this out or have figured it out a little bit, help guide those groups, something like that.
Fantastic. We're going to pivot. We'll do one more question, maybe pause for a second, let the LEDs maybe make some reflections, take a look at the chat box and go from there. So we have our next question is coming from Ellen, Cami, and Liz.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Ellen here. And so we are looking at that 4-5 making virtual learning. It was very helpful. We're using that, and we will be using this new Padlet really to guide our conversation. So thank you for adding to that. So this one was on creating connections. And so you guys had great ideas, you know, a lot of some stuff that we included to make Zoom fun, some ideas of possibly like micro meetups outside of class. Excellent thoughts. And then, but our question came around specifically talking about, let's see, what can we do to make connections at the start of the year to have a strong home and school connection, start the year on the right foot? So we just want to know, what would you ideally like to see happening with those connections, whether it be meeting with those teachers one-on-one in small groups, how often, what's your ideal? And then we'll kind of look at that data to see what is most manageable for everybody.
Thank you, Ellen. Either raise your hand or just go for
it. Joe, this is Herschel. Could I jump in for that one? If we are getting our rosters, then it would be great if, I'm not sure when the class ambassadors will be picked, but maybe the class ambassador or whoever the LED chooses to represent, at least initially, could kind of gather the families at least and have like an informal Zoom. And then maybe at some point when the LEDs are ready, we can kind of do a couple of Zooms with them as well to kind of get to know each other a little bit more in the process. So I think that would be helpful.
Harshal, how does it feel to get a roster this early?
It feels amazing, and that's why I wrote in the beginning, this is so amazing. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Harshal. One of the things we're also trying to do is make sure that our new families are connecting with our current families through that Google Doc that our ambassadors have really been helpful to do with the collaborative. So maybe doing some micro meetups, can we do some type of drive-through or do some kind of experience here on campus with small groups, opening up the lot, all kinds of different ways to make that happen. Vanessa, it looks like you have your hand up.
Yeah, so this is probably a pretty individual thing, but I have a child who will never talk to their teacher unless they're in the same room with them. So he's sitting right here. I'm sure his teacher knows too. And I think it would be nice to at least have, a dedicated connection time with the LED, even like 5 minutes a week, or just something like to have a intentional check-in. Because when you're virtual, I don't think he had any one-on-one contact with his LED from March. I might be wrong, maybe he just didn't tell me, but it would be nice to just know that there's another adult that he can connect with besides just parents. And I would imagine that other people feel the same way with their kids too. And I don't know how many kids, really feel comfortable like just connecting with their LED one-on-one, but I do think that would be nice to just have that dedicated time. Even if it's just a check-in, how are you doing, social time, but something.
Thanks for putting that equity lens on each and every learner, because each and every learner is different in terms of how they interact. Thanks, Vanessa. Anyone want to add to that or a new idea around connecting?
Hi, Joe, it's Liz. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Hey, Liz.
I just wanted to echo that too. I think it's really hard because as both of my girls are participating in Zoom learning, it's just hard to initiate them to make a connection with a friend. It's like, why don't you Zoom your best friend? No, Mom, I don't want to. I want to read a book. And I just feel like through the distance learning, she's become more introverted versus being able to just socialize because her friend is right next to her. So I like that intentional check-in, and not just with the LED, but also with her friends. And the micro groups, and I'm sure that'll help with the rosters come out. Once you find your roster, you can figure out who lives close to you and whatnot. And it's all hard. And I think I'm just really proud to be part of Design 39 because we're all learning how to do this together. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. And Liz, what was cool in the 6-8 design kids, because they're doing a whole design jam, same space, and the kids naturally understand that there's learning that happens outside the classroom. So they're talking about when we walk down the hallway or when we go down the stairs or when we're sitting at lunch, we're talking about the lesson. So creating these open spaces for kids to just naturally connect that work for them because they're missing that opportunity and they might become more introverted. So that's not what we want. So Liz, good insight. Thank you for that. We'll have one more minute and then we're going to jump into the next question.
This is Nehal
Patel.
I don't know if this is an unpopular idea, but I think it should just mirror what a normal school day is, but you're just doing it online.
Okay.
In my opinion, that would be the best.
Yeah, so tell us more about what it is with the normal school day. What does that mean to you?
You start at 8:50, whatever it is. They do their morning meeting. I don't know what they do then. They'll have their math lessons, and then the kids work on their problems. Maybe they break up into little groups. Then they go over the problems. I mean, I don't know, why are we trying to reinvent everything?
So there's some
try to mirror their normal work day.
Yeah, what we're looking for is what are the best bits of Design 39 campus, and when we're going to be online, make sure we're doing those things. And then when kids, because they're not going to be looking at a screen all day long. So we want to
they can break up into little groups and do their reading, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're onto something.
Whatever they do.
We like unpopular ideas because it's those little things underneath that, what is it about that we're really looking for that we can design around. So thank you for being vulnerable with that. Okay, we're going to pause.
Joe, oh, this is Joe. This is Christian. If I can just insert something very quickly because I know you have to go on to the next question. Following up on Elizabeth's comments, I wonder if there's a way that the school can come up with a prescriptive way, so to speak, for the kids to all meet at once, either on the playground or in a park within Del Sur, so that they can continue to maybe expand the human connection between not only obviously the LED, but to their classmates. I realize that can also spiral out of control in a way to try and create a safe and organized fashion, but I wonder if you could begin to give some thought. Every 2 to 3 weeks, kids could all get together to try and really maybe grow and establish that human connection.
Christian, you're onto something. You should be on our collaborative. They're doing just that thing. They're working through our safety team. You know, Vanessa's with us, and there's more parents and doctors who are looking at these ideas that are really kind of robust. So we're excited about that. Those will be coming forward. So look for something like that to happen, ensuring that we're still within the CDC guidelines and all those other things that we know about. Thank you, Christian, for echoing that. All right, LEDs, is there anything that you heard that you want to dig into a little bit more or that you're inspired by? Go ahead, this is your chance.
I think for me, it's just we miss the kids too. So we've definitely been exploring any way we can see them in person and running it, like Joe said, running it by a safety committee, because that's something we really want as well.
And also we want to use our time online wisely as well. So we're really trying to think of ways for kids to be connected while we're online rather than, you know, a whole group lesson if that's not what's needed.
We reflected very heavily on the learning we did during the spring. And that was exactly one of the things we discovered, that small groups really powerful, and kids need to be connected more, both scholastically in collaborative groups and socially. So that's really one of our big goals this year.
Yeah. And especially knowing that we have new families coming and joining us as we've grown as a span, wanting to make sure that you as new families feel welcomed and the kids feel connected to their classmates and to their school.
Yeah, that connected piece is really a huge piece for all of us. We had a meeting yesterday and we started talking about, you know, our meeting today, and what the word that kept coming up was connected. And so we're really, really honing in on how do we connect all stakeholders? How do we connect the LEDs with students? How do we connect students and learners with each other? How do we connect families together? So that's like really heavy on our minds, because we know that you know, this situation isn't the best for human interaction and that really important social piece. And so how do we still do that and maintain a virtual learning environment while also providing a lot of safety? So we've been really trying to brainstorm. So your ideas have been really helpful with this too.
Hi, Joe. I have a question. I guess with this idea of virtual learning, right? Is the school campus completely closed, or can we still use that as a resource to learning? Because I mean, our campus is beautiful. It's big and beautiful. Can that be used?
A lot of money. Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean the spaces, right, in the campus itself, the field, the parking lots, the blacktop right there, can that be used for micro learning sessions? A thought.
We see that as a need and an opportunity when you have big spaces. So how do we do that safely? So thank you for echoing that that's a need. Yes and yes. There's a great comment there by Taz. I think that's going to lead us right into the next one, which is coming to us from Katie and Shoshana. So Katie, I think you're leading this one.
Yeah, how can we replicate the buddy system for new students? Yeah, absolutely. That's actually what we were talking about. We were already thinking about that, so we were really happy to see on the Padlet parents echoing this desire to have their kids again connect to benefit their social emotional state in this new experience that we're all in together. So we came up with the question, which was all around the buddy system, and you can see it there on the Padlet. It is, how might parents and LEDs work together to facilitate a buddy system, and what might that look like for kids? So we definitely want to do a buddy system. We just know that there's going to be a lot of different needs, and there are, 10 of us, 11 of us. And so it would just be really great to have some parents come in and help us facilitate this. And because there's going to be a lot of diverse needs of what a buddy system is going to look like. But absolutely, we wholeheartedly agreed that having that to connect and to maintain that social awareness with their peers, or having a buddy system is a big goal of ours.
So we're looking for some ideas on that. So Elam, I think you had your hand up.
Yes. So while we are on the topic of connection, how can we, so the 3 months that we had, and we had our amazing LED, and I did make sure to bug her all the time with my questions, but how can we make it, like, can we have a channel or a platform where parents can ask questions and we don't have to, the LED is going to be very busy with, I don't know, 30 something kids online. How can parents support each other? If I have a question on some homework that has to be done or some technical issue that we have or such and such site that I don't know how it works, is there going to be a platform where I can, post my question and get answers? That was, I don't know, something that was on my mind.
It sounds like you have a need to connect just in time when you have that question. You might not be able to
yes.
get, and leveraging the rich resources that we have right on campus with our other parents. Great.
Yeah.
Great insight. Thank you. Lauren.
Hi, it's Russell.
Russell.
Just as
very handsome Lauren.
We're brand new to Design 39, and so yeah, just this topic is very near and dear. And just let me compliment everything that you guys are doing. It's really amazing. We still don't even know what we don't know, and even so far before we've started are just blown away. So thank you to everyone who is making all of this stuff happen. You guys, just everything's wonderful. But yeah, anything like a buddy system to help integrate, because just not knowing what we don't know, and certainly what our kids don't know as they're coming in. We've got third and fourth, and just being able to facilitate some kind of integration with other kids who kind of know the system and can just help them understand what they're getting into. I think that's really important, even if it's just something like a couple small dimensional Quizlet of like, what are you interested in, and just I don't know, without trying to reinvent any wheels of how to match people up that might make sense, kind of like a mini speed dating of a buddy system. But yeah, that something like that would be really cool to be able to have them have someone they can go to ask questions that isn't always necessarily the LED.
Fantastic. Anyone else in this space? I think we have 2 more minutes for this question.
Joe, if I could just jump in, I think that there's 2 parts to that. I feel like that there's obviously a ton of engaged parents that are interested in helping out, and including class ambassadors as well as other people. But also I think a lot of our students would love to take some agency on that as well and say, I'm familiar with the school and I would love to help out some of my friends that maybe want to chat or need a little bit of more information as to how things work. I think it could be all of those things together.
I'll have you know that our kids are those kids that think about that they thought about that last spring. They knew that a lot of new kids were coming in, and they were already asking questions of clubs they could design, of ways to onboard our new students. They want to accept them with open arms. We're going to find a way to make all of you that are brand new to our school feel included.
Thank you so much. You see that just deep empathy and wanting to get this right, super important. So we have time for one more on this spot.
Hey Joe, Ashwin here. I don't know if you've seen me.
Hey.
How are you?
I will definitely keep the room open for you, brother.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot for this discussion. I think the one thought that occurred to me, Joe, with all these great ideas, I mean, specifically around the buddy system, the micro groups, one thing that at least I've been thinking about is how can we use the great resource of student enrichment. We had this great ecosystem which enabled parent volunteering, which enabled a nice way for parents to support LEDs, as well as have kids get together. And right now we are in this, I mean, it's been in this limbo mode where we've gone online, but been bringing in all these points together, like the micro groups and the buddy system, along with using the on-campus resources to the extent possible, following all the guidelines. I was wondering how we could use and continue that great ecosystem that we had of all these clubs where we had kids getting together, doing what they love with help from parents and LEDs. So just curious how we could fit that in. Just a thought.
It's awesome. You've been doing a lot of work in the background. Can you tell us a little bit what enrichment is for our new families, and maybe one of your favorites, and maybe an idea what that might look like and how we might do that?
Oh, it's a big question. Now I'll have to probably think for a couple of minutes. But a student enrichment at D39 was essentially a set of, I mean, in simple words, a student interest-driven clubs, which essentially we had our students come together with these great ideas. Hey, we want to start running, for example, in the morning before school. We came up with the running club idea. The few parents and kids who wanted to start joining FLL or Odyssey of the Mind. We had these great programs who had this structure set up, but with the great help from our parents here at D39, we could actually create resources internally, create a structure and a space for kids to actually experience this enrichment. So we have about 17 clubs here at D39, which were very active, which are still active in various modes of operation. Some of them are still continuing online. We have debate clubs. We have clubs focused on science, robotics. We had ideas going on for art and theater, for example. So I think right now we have a great team that's looking into how all this can be enabled for the coming year. But I think that the two driving forces were were parent volunteers. I think we have a great team of volunteers who helped. Many of them were participating in the collaborative as well. And in the end, it was a way to supplement the great learning mechanism. I think the two driving forces were continue using the D39 philosophy, but try to explore these new areas across various fields, whether it is art, science, running, athletics. My favorite, of course, Joe, you know, it has to be the running club because I'm biased towards it. But hopefully
physical activity. Ashwin, thank you so much. That was great on your feet thinking. You are a designer, my friend. So that's a perfect segue to our final question around that very thing with Kelly and Stacy.
So we kind of gathered a lot of random questions together. A lot of it had to do with looping, and you'll get your rosters really soon, and you'll notice that was very important to us too. Our main question is, well, all about how do we deepen our connections so that we engage student agency in our learners. We really want your kids to be independent learners. We have ideas. We want to hear from you. How can we help engage this student agency in your children?
Taylor, you went like bam, your hand was up.
I did. So everyone who knows me knows I have a boy and a girl the same age, and they operate very differently. One of them is a yes man, yes woman, who does everything she's asked right away with like feathers coming out of her hat. And the other one's like, if you don't notice that I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to do it. So finding a way, Ellen, for him to connect and to be super frank, he wants me to love him and that's unconditional, but he doesn't really care if I appreciate the work that he puts out for school, but he really cares what his LED thinks, right? And he cares that his friends see him doing well. So finding a way to have him connect that what he's doing at home still connects and matters, and I'm sure other kids too, to their LED, and that it's got some value beyond their own, because some have that intrinsic motivator that they just want to be really good. And some just need that carrot or that little, their LED or someone who knows them and that they really respect getting that. So finding a way to make that happen, even though it's kind of from afar, so that they connect that I'm doing it here, but it still matters here, and it still matters to the same group of people that it used to matter to.
You're muted, Joe.
Sorry, thank you. Heather.
Hi. So I've been thinking a lot about this in particular, and thinking about how wonderfully our LEDs help our students create personalized goals at the start of the year and kind of track that over the course of the year. And there are definitely some leap goals that I want for my kiddo over the course of the year as a fourth grader. But also I want them to be super realistic given the kind of way in which our world is operating and being virtual. So I'm just suggesting like a real collaborative way to partner between the LEDs, student and parent, and setting goals for the year, but then also setting some milestones that we can work really closely with, because when we talk about goals in our house, it's a direct connection to what you all have done so wonderfully. But I think we need to have like those little wins along the way and not have a breadth of like everything we want to achieve, but maybe focus on like 2 really powerful goals to make them feel that they've got some ownership over the course of this year ahead.
Love it. Thank you. Anyone else want to add context or content to this around the idea of building agency? You guys answered all the questions. They're ready. That's it. Done. Start school tomorrow. Ready? Aren't you guys excited to see them? You can unmute your mic. Just kind of give them a round of applause. We really appreciate our learning experience designers. They're awesome. I do want to give a couple little updates for the next 2 minutes just to get you up to speed. I have to then jump on to the 6-8 call. So we're doing these back to back. One of the things that's really, really important and supportive, today the learning experience designers, the LEDs, received an email from the collaborative. And it said something like this: we know you're working tireless hours, that you're not getting paid until 3 days before school starts. Yet here you are planning and planning and planning. You heard that already. So the collaborative got together, and this is because of 39 days of giving, that we're able to offer them 6 hours of planning time. Well, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's that idea that we're gifting them with this, yeah, you can see them applauding, that they're being recognized for their work. They plan probably 6 hours a day. But that money comes from the collaborative, comes from your donations. So I don't think there's any better investment than investing in the professional development of our teachers. And so when you see 39 days of giving coming, just know that that's what it's being reinvested in, because we have our parents doing that, like the enrichments that Ashwin was talking about. We also have this really amazing loft that we're going to be opening up again next week already, so that you can start to get these books. The collaborative, starting way back, and you see Liz Chan there, you know, $10,000 a year is put into the loft, both digital and in print. So we're going to be putting together some little vignettes and some chances for you to be able to see what are those resources. So look for those Zoom sessions with myself and Barbara. And then next week, next Thursday, we're going to have a session with our brand new counselors. They're a bundle of fire. We have a male and a female, so which is kind of fun, so that they can connect with gender equity. And then also a chance there maybe to hear a little bit more from the collaborative on plans that they have and how to be good stewards of those resources. So we want to make sure that you put that on your to-do list for next Thursday. And then probably that following week, I would imagine the LEDs will be getting together with you to ensure that you can get a real good idea of how the year is going to start. And then I would imagine in September and maybe 1st of October, we'll do another one of these sessions just to see how things are going. Where do we need to pivot? But a big sense of love for our LEDs and to our parents for trusting us with this process. I can tell you, everyone across the district and across the nation is starting with schedules. And they're saying, here's the schedule. And then, oh, maybe this is the learning we're going to do. So we're flipping that around, making sure we get these things just right. So again, a big round of applause to all of you, because you are teachers with us. The future is the place we create. Awesome. I'm going to turn off the YouTube. So thank you, YouTubers, for coming with us. And to all of you for joining